Good morning, children. Let's continue the lesson Kabuliwala, and we stopped where Kabuliwala, or the seller, who is going from house to house to sell things, was caught attention from the little Minnie, who is the narrator's own daughter. And one day, the narrator happened to hear a commotion outside the house. And when he came, he saw that this Kabuliwala's hands were bloodstained, even the clothes, and also he had a knife in his hand. And when the narrator asked what's the matter, it turned out that one of our neighbors owed Rahmat some money. He had falsely denied the debt. During the subsequent fight, Rahmat had stabbed him with a knife. So this is what happened. Why the commotion is happening? Because this man actually wanted to get money from one of the neighbors of this narrator, but the person denied that he had this debt, and definitely Kabuli was got angry and he fought. First there was fight, and after that he hit the person with a knife. Rahmat was cursing the liar when Minnie appeared, calling Kabuliwala, "Hey Kabuliwala." Usually Minnie came and called this man Kabuliwala, and without knowing the incident, she just called Kabuliwala. And when she was calling, Rahmat was actually cursing or murmuring against the person who owed money. Immediately Rahmat's face lit up. His bag was not with him today, so they could not have their usual joke about it. Instead, Minnie asked, "Are you going to your father-in-law's house?" Okay. When he heard the calling, he was very happy. His face was brightened, and he forgot everything that he was fighting with someone or he was cursing someone. He forgot everything, and usually they had a conversation, or the beginning was like this. If something is there in his bag, or the bag is with him, she usually used to ask, "What is there inside your bag?" We had already seen. And another question was that, "Are you going to your father-in-law's house?" That was the second question. Since the bag was not found, she asked the second question. This too had been one of their standard lines. Father-in-law's house was an address that held little meaning for Minnie and a double meaning for Rahmat, which was slang for the prison. Usually Rahmat would reply, "I shall hit the father-in-law," upon which Minnie would giggle delightfully. Okay, see children, when this question was asked, actually Rahmat had two meanings for this particular word, father-in-law's house. Okay, the two meanings are, one is prison, double meaning. It has got a double meaning, that is an informal meaning, and the other meaning is the real father-in-law. Meaning meant the real father-in-law, whereas he meant prison because he had stabbed someone else. So there will be punishment, and he said that, "Yes, I am going to father-in-law's house." He meant that he is going to prison. So definitely Minnie would be laughing. That is the way how she did usually. Today Rahmat grinned and said, "Yes, I am going to father-in-law's house." When he saw that Minnie was not amused, he added, "I would have hit the father-in-law, but how can I? My hands are tied." Okay, and after that, since she did not laugh at his joke, he said that, "Yes, I could have done something to father-in-law, but already I am arrested. My hands are tied." Rahmat was sentenced to several years in prison for causing a fatal injury. I almost forgot about him as time passed. Living in our home, busy with our daily work, we never wondered how an independent man who had travelled in the lap of mountains might be spending his years inside prison. Okay, and meanwhile, that he was taken to prison, and usually the child is growing, she must have forgotten, even he forgot. As time passed, living in our home, busy with our daily work, we never wondered how an independent man who had traveled in the lap of mountains would be spending his years inside the prison. See, he's telling that he had never thought of this man who was very free, was moving very freely through the lap of mountains. He will walk freely, and he had all the freedom. How he will be spending his days in this limited prison. Okay, they did not think about it. As for Minnie, even her father would have to admit that her behavior was very regrettable. Too easily she forgot her old friend and made friends with the housekeeper. Then, as she grew older, she made more and more female friends. So much so that even in her father's study, she became a rare visitor. The growth of a child. When one child is growing, definitely there will be a lot of changes that is happening to many. That means the father feels regrettable about her behavior. That means he never thought about Kabuliwala later. Too easily she forgot her old friend Kabuliwala and made friends with the housekeeper. First she had friendship with the housekeeper. Then she grew older and made more female friends. After that, that when a girl grows or a boy grows in the teenage, definitely they will have more friends of their own age. She also had the same. So much so that even her father's study, she became a rare visitor. Earlier, she was always with her father in the room in which he used to write. But now she became a rare visitor. She likes to be with her friends than with her father. The years passed. Another autumn arrived. It was Minnie's wedding. From early morning. From early morning, the house was filled with people and noise and activity. I was sitting in my study looking over accounts when Rahmat came and greeted me. Okay, so she grew up, and now it is time for her to get married, and that was her wedding day. And many people were there. The house was full of noise, and this narrator, he was sitting in his study room, and he was just looking at the accounts about the wedding. And that time Rahmat came to the room and greeted him. At first I could not recognize him. He did not have his bag with him. His hair was shorter. The previous vigor was missing from his frame. Finally, I recognized him from his grin. Okay, see children, he had been totally changed. So the narrator could not recognize him because the bag was not with him, and also his total structure was changed. Hair was he cut it shorter. Also, the previous vigor means energy or strength. After spending many years in prison, definitely he must have lost all his strength, and also it was very difficult to identify him, but only from his grin, the way he laughed, only the narrator could understand him. I said, "Well, Rahmat, when did you arrive?" He said, "I was released from prison last evening." Because he was very eager to see this home, especially the Minnie. Okay, and the last evening only he was released from prison, and today morning he is arriving in this house. His reply struck a jarring note. I had never seen a murderer before. I felt repelled by the sight of one now. I wished that the man would not remain in my home on this auspicious occasion. Which struck a jarring note means produced an unpleasant or disturbing effect. Okay, and when he heard that I was released from prison, uh, he was not pleased with the answer. I never seen a murderer before. Okay, that means even though they were friends before, once he became a murderer, he doesn't love his presence. Okay, I felt repelled by the sight of one now. Repelled means felt a strong dislike towards him, and he wished that he could not be here on this auspicious, already meaning is given, special and hopeful occasion, and this hopeless man should not be there, he thought in such a way. I said, "We are rather busy today, you had better leave." Okay, he was trying to avoid him. He's telling that you just leave. Don't remain here because we are busy. He turned to go away. However, near the door, he hesitated a bit and asked, "Can't I see uh, Koki once?" Koki, that is the informal term used to address a little girl. And he asked, "Can I see that little girl?" Perhaps he had believed that Minnie had remained the same, as if he had thought that Minnie would come running Kabuliwala, hey Kabuliwala, as before, and there would be no interruption to their old amusing conversations. He had even borrowed a box of fruits and nuts from some friend to give her. He no longer had his own stock. Okay, and he thought that Minnie would be the same girl. She may not have grown, and the same way of behavior she will be having when she knows that this man has arrived. She'll be coming and calling him out, Kabuliwala, hey Kabuliwala, the same calling, and he thought everything. Also, he bought something even though he didn't have money, and he did not have enough stock of things at present. Because the day before only he was released from the prison, he borrowed some money from friend and bought some fruits and nuts. He came up to me and said, "I had brought these nuts and raisins for Koki. Please give them to her." Okay, so if I cannot see her, please give this to Minnie. When I tried to pay him, he grabbed my hand. "You are very kind. I shall always remember. Please do not give me money." Okay, this man doesn't want the thing for without paying. That is why he just said, "No, I don't want money." He was hesitating to get money and he gave it freely. See children, sometimes the people who commit crime, they will be doing it because of the situations. Many of the criminals, they are made. Okay, and see, even this Kabuliwala, he was a very good person. He was a free person, and he was working and selling things. That was the only livelihood he had. And since someone denied the money that he owed to Kabuliwala, only there was a fight, and the hit that happened it was mistakenly done, isn't it? Okay, but the people after that will not admit those persons as the same. They will be considering these persons as criminals. That is a very bad attitude of our society. Okay, because they may not understand the person. They may not think that this was committed out of some mistakes. Okay, even even the persons who are very famous, if they have some mistakes, people often accuse them. Okay, the people who adored them before, they easily avoid these persons and they will be accusing this person. You can see that behavior here from the part of the narrator and the family. And Babu, I too have a daughter in my country. It's with her face in my mind that I bring these few things for your Koki. I don't come to trade. And he said that, "No, I don't want. And I see Minnie just like my daughter. That's why I came here." And after many years only I come here, so that I thought that I'm giving it as if it is my own daughter. So I don't have a trade now. Please get it without any payment. So saying, he brought out a piece of dirty paper from a pocket near his chest. He unfolded it carefully and laid it out before me on the table. After that, he took something that was a dirty paper, and he just took it and kept it there and folded it, and he kept it on the table. On the paper was the impression of a small hand, not a photograph, not an oil painting, merely some charcoal rubbed on a hand and then captured on paper. With this keepsake of his daughter, Rahmat had travelled every year to Calcutta, as if the touch of the tiny, tender baby hand soothed his immense lonely heart. Okay, and what was there on the on that paper? That was the paper, the impression of a small hand. That means that is the hand impression, or the thumb impression and hand impression, of a small hand. And this was not done with painting or something, but it was done with the charcoal. Charcoal, that is a coal that you get from hearth or ovens. Okay, and it was captured on the paper, and he kept it all over his life, even when he was in the prison. Okay, that means whenever he traveled, he used to keep it. That is the hand impression of his own daughter. He was holding it, and his indirectly he was meaning that I considered Minnie also in a similar way of my own daughter. And my eyes filled with tears. I realized that we were both the same, a father. The handprint of his baby daughter reminded me of my Minnie. At once, I sent for her, clad in her bridal attire. Minnie came and stood by me shyly. Okay. When he saw this, he was very sad. Okay. And so I realized that we were both the same, a father. Now he understood that although he is a person who is coming from prison, and I was in home, there is a general fact, a common factor between both of them. What was it? Both of them were fathers. They had a daughter. Okay, and the handprint of his baby daughter reminded me of my Minnie. So he thought that this man is fond of Minnie, so he thought that he will call him. And she came in the bridal dress. The Kabuliwala was rather startled to see her. He could not quite resume her old conversation. Finally, he smiled and said, "Okay, are you going to your father-in-law's house?" Okay, and here he did not imagine that this girl must have grown up as a lady, and she is going to get married. So he could not continue the conversation or start the conversation as before, since he understood that she was grown up. Finally, he smiled and said, "Koki, are you going to your father-in-law's house?" This is the real meaning or the literal meaning, and here he means the father-in-law's. Earlier, he meant the prison. Minnie now knew the meaning of this word. She could not reply readily as of old. She blushed and turned away her face. Their first meeting came to my mind. I felt a strange ache in my heart. Okay, and now Minnie knows who is a father-in-law. Earlier, she was just telling a father-in-law by studying from Rahmat. Now she knows who is a father-in-law because she is going to that house, and she could not reply readily as of old. Earlier she used to say yes. Now she knows the meaning clearly, so she did not say anything. Instead, she blushed, ashamed, and her face became red and turned away her face. Their first meeting came to my mind. Now the narrator is thinking about the first meeting of Minnie and Kabuliwala. And now he felt an ache, that is just like a nostalgia, a feeling of nostalgia. When we think about the past, when we had a very good past, and now when we think about it, we'll have a pain in the heart. That is the nostalgic feeling that he had in his mind when he thought of their first meeting. After Minnie left, Rahmat heaved a great sigh and sat down on the floor. All of a sudden, he realized that his own daughter too had grown up with her too. He'll have to break the ice again. He won't find her as he had left her. Okay. Here, when he saw Minnie, who is a grown-up girl now, he understood that his daughter also might have grown up in such a way, and that is why he will have to break the ice. What is the meaning of break the ice? Remove the feeling of awkwardness between two people who don't know each other and make them feel more comfortable with each other. That means now when he reaches home, definitely her daughter also may not be recognizing him properly. So he is thinking how he will be behaving there when he reaches there. I handed him a note. Rahmat, go back to your country, your daughter. May the happiness of your reunion bring happiness to my Minnie's life. Okay. And after that, he handed over a note, and note that is given in the next paragraph. And he told that when you meet together, definitely my Minnie also will be happy. Because I gave away this money, I had to forego a few aspects of the wedding celebration. The electric lights and the music could not be as grand as planned. But for me, the festivities grew brighter with a blessed light. Okay, and this money was taken from the money that he reserved for the marriage expense of his daughter. That is why he wanted to cut some decorations like electric lights and music that could not be added to the wedding. But he thought that those festivities, but for me the festivities grew brighter with a blessed light. This is more blessed. That means when he is happy, when he and his daughter are happy, definitely all the functions will be done well. That's what the narrator thought. Okay, so definitely the story brings to light some kind of affection towards father-daughter, also a father-like figure, that is Rahmat, and daughter, that is Minnie. Again, once someone is in prison or away from home, definitely how the people will be forgetting how they became strangers, and when they come back, the pain that they have inside, everything is portrayed well by Rabindranath Tagore through this special story, very beautiful story, Kabuliwala. Okay, this is a famous story. You can go through it, and I'll be sending the notes to you. Thank you.